faithfully delivering value, interpreting great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today we're exploring the pyramid principle, logic and thinking, expressing and problem solving. It's a classic workplace writing training manual. In today's world, opportunities for public speaking and writing are everywhere. Online, we all have social platforms. Even the smallest voice can be heard. The daily work requires business articles, complex reports, and presentations. Whether reporting to superiors, assigning tasks, or peer communication, your ideas live through words. But do you truly know how to communicate effectively? Why? Same meeting. Some speak concisely, hitting the mark, while others ramble aimlessly. Why do some reports show depth and precision, while others feel hollow and vague? Why do some trainers captivate audiences with lively delivery? Yet when you speak, listeners yawn and drift off? Why is your message unclear, shallow, unengaging? How to make audiences understand and remember? Intrigued? The pyramid principle has answers, teaching structured thinking frameworks for powerful expression. Author Barbara Minto, Harvard graduate, was McKinsey's first female consultant. Her pyramid principle became McKinsey's writing standard and cultural cornerstone. Post McKinsey, governments, corporations, and universities globally seek her training. For half a century, this theory's been translated, reprinted, topping bestseller lists worldwide, proving its lasting power. The entire book centers on pyramid structure. And first, we'll explore what the pyramid structure is and why it matters. Then, how to apply it, finishing with practical expression techniques. Let's begin with part one. What is the pyramid structure? Why should we use the pyramid structure? Some folks hear about article structure and assume it's just rigid, old-fashioned writing like the eight-legged essay. So, actually, the pyramid structure is a tool that organizes thoughts orderly, making expression logical and structured. You might not realize it, but pyramid structured thoughts are everywhere in life. So let's give an example. Say you're heading out for a morning walk and your wife asks you to grab some things from the supermarket. She rattles off a long shopping list: grapes, milk, potatoes, eggs, carrots, plus oranges, salted duck eggs, apples, and yogurt. Okay, she's done. Now, the question is, what do you need to bring back? Remember? Chances are you've forgotten most. Even those with better memory might recall only one or two items. But if we organize this list with the pyramid structure, it becomes much easier to remember. For instance, think of buying three categories: fruits, vegetables, and dairy egg products. Fruits include grapes, oranges, and apples. Vegetables include potatoes and carrots. Dairy, egg includes eggs, salted duck eggs, milk, and yogurt. Isn't that much easier to remember now? So why is that? It ties into two basic laws of human thinking. First, our brains struggle to grasp and recall more than 7 things at once. Of course, people vary. Some might remember 9, others only 5. But overall, if the brain handles over 5 things, it demands we categorize and group our thoughts. Like grouping grapes, oranges, and apples together as fruits. On the flip side, grouping alone isn't enough. Our brains automatically abstract and summarize to create order. In other words, it's about naming that group. For example, ancient Greeks looking at the stars didn't see random dots, they saw patterns and named them constellations. Categorizing, grouping, and abstracting, these two fundamental laws of human thinking form the pyramid structure's theoretical basis. When we reorganize the shopping list based on these laws, we're building a simple pyramid structure. The top layer is the pyramid's peak, your wife's request for groceries. The middle layer is the pyramid's body, your categorization into fruit, vegetables, and dairy egg groups. The bottom layer is the pyramid's base, the detailed list of 9 specific food items. Similarly, speeches and articles can be structured this way. Any content needs a central idea, the peak, supported by main arguments. These form the body. Each main argument branches into sub-arguments, extending downward. Peak body, and base create the pyramid. Its power lies in starting from one core idea. Present ideas top down, branch by branch, making thoughts organized and memorable. So far, we've covered the pyramid's overall structure. Next, how to apply the pyramid structure. Inside the pyramid are three structures: vertical, horizontal, and introductory. Vertical brings clarity and hierarchy. Horizontal adds depth. The introductory structure grabs attention instantly. Now let's explore the vertical structure. It focuses on relationships, peak to body and body to base. Using the vertical structure requires two principles. First, conclusion first, meaning state the central idea upfront before supporting arguments, then present the body. Reverse it, and chaos ensues. Consider this book example. Your secretary reports, Boss John can't attend the 3 p.m. meeting. Hal doesn't mind meeting later even tomorrow, but not before 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. Jack returns late from abroad tomorrow, and the room is booked. How about Thursday morning? But such a secretary, wouldn't you want to fire him? This is a classic case of failing to state the conclusion first. How should the secretary report? He should start by saying, Boss, can we move today's meeting to Thursday morning? That's the conclusion. How do we reach this conclusion? Because it's more convenient for both John and Hal, and Jack can make it too. Plus, the meeting room's available then, making everything crystal clear. Whether reporting or writing, state your main point up front. Don't bury it in facts for the audience to dig out. The second principle is governing from above. Higher level points must summarize those below. If a question is posed at one level, the next must answer it. The peak summarizes. The body provides details. The peak poses questions. The body delivers answers. This applies throughout the structure. Crucially, the base's bottom layer must rest on objective facts and data. Take this scenario. You're an employee meeting your boss in an elevator. Using conclusion first, you say, I'd like a raise. The boss asks, why? How do you respond? Remember, you've got maybe 1 minute. Complaining about overtime won't cut it. Using governing from above, say, Boss, I have 4 reasons for a raise. First, sufficient tenure. Second, recent promotion. Third, increased workload. Fourth, strong performance metrics. If available today, I'd appreciate discussing details. Here, tenure, position, workload, and performance form the body supporting your raise request. The peak. If the boss nods in agreement, everyone wins. No further explanation needed. But if the boss says, is that so? Come explain in my office. Now you have time. Elaborate specifically. For tenure, you were among the startup's earliest hires. For workload, recent urgent projects required consecutive late nights for weeks. Third, position-wise, you lead a tech team dedicating significant time to management beyond daily tasks. Fourth, performance-wise, your new product generated substantial profits last quarter, increasing company profits by X%. This uses facts and data, the pyramid's base, to support the body-level reasons. Presented this way, your boss would likely be convinced. In summary, vertical structure requires conclusion first to highlight key points and governing from above to create hierarchy, ensuring clarity. Now, having covered vertical structure, let's explore horizontal structure, how it makes thinking comprehensive and expression profound. And while vertical focuses on peak body and body-base relationships, horizontal deals with body-to-body and base-to-base logic. Typically, only 2 methods establish logical connections: deductive and inductive reasoning. Deductive moves general, right arrow, specific, like syllogism. Major premise, all humans die. Minor premise, minor humans die. Socrates is human. Conclusion, Socrates dies. We know this one. Inductive moves specific toward general. Example, Japanese firms increasing investments in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand. Generalization, expanding into Southeast Asia. Both methods work. But when communicating ideas, inductive reasoning is often clearer. Suppose you propose company reform. With deduction, you'd first list specific problems, then explain each problem's causes, Next, outline necessary measures. Finally, conclude reform is essential. This approach is needlessly convoluted. When discussing solutions, listeners forget which problems they address. With induction, you directly state the company must reform. The reform approach includes three measures. Measure one addresses cause one to solve problem one, making it clearer for listeners. Here we learned that inductive reasoning is superior to deductive in communication. Next, let's cover two principles for applying the pyramid's horizontal structure. First principle, grouping. Each set of ideas must belong to the same category. And during grouping, we must name that category, like organizing phone apps. Don't just group similar apps in a folder. You must name the folder. For example, social, games, or education apps, where the folder name defines the category. Another example, as a Polish officer learning German, Soviet, and Slovak tanks were at Poland's border, what would you report to the general? Saying tanks from three countries are at our border would get you fired because you're stating news, not insight. Deep communication requires more than facts. You should conclude, we may face a tank invasion, but even this violates the grouping principle without category naming. Proper categorization. Today we'll cover 3 user growth goals for 5 years, 4 organizational changes needed, and 5 solutions for talent retention. And grouping alone isn't enough. We need logical ordering within groups. Hence the second principle, logical progression, meaning each group's ideas must follow an order, commonly chronological, structural, or importance-based. For example, confessing to your girlfriend, I loved you in the past, love you now, and will love you forever. Or putting an elephant in a fridge. Step 1, open fridge. Step 2, insert elephant. Step 3, close fridge. Simple. Another type, structural or spatial order. Arranging ideas like visualizing a diagram. For example, confessing to your girlfriend. Whether you're in Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, Oceania, or Antarctica, whether in the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, or Arctic Ocean, I love you. Or consider a company's organizational structure, product, technology, channel, and operations departments. This is structural order. Another is degree order, importance order, either minor to major or major to minor. Like confessing with increasing intensity, I love your appearance, your physique, but most of all, your soul. Category logic and sequencing must follow the MECE principle. This is the author's original concept. It means mutually exclusive, no overlap, and collectively exhaustive, no gaps. MECE takes grouping and logical progression to their ideal state. In daily work and life, perfect MECE may be unattainable, but we must strive for it, avoiding obvious flaws. For example, categorizing people as men and married people creates overlap. Married men belong to both. Categorizing as married men and unmarried men omits women entirely. Another flaw. Both categorizations are problematic, but in our confession examples, loving past, present, future, across continents or oceans, and appearance or physique or soul, we achieve no overlap, no gaps, and completeness. In summary, horizontal structure requires grouping ideas logically. This gives depth. Each group progresses internally to avoid overlap or gaps. Creating breadth, writing with both depth and breadth becomes compelling. And mastering vertical or horizontal structures enables clear, profound expression. Next, we'll explore using the introductory structure to spark interest. Often clarity isn't enough. People must want to engage. The opening is crucial. If unimpressive, regaining attention is difficult. This brings us to the preface structure. The preface isn't inside the pyramid, but above it, focusing on how to start strong and make people care about the central idea at the pyramid's peak. The author tells us that the preface is best written as a story because it sparks interest more easily. So, how do we write it specifically? He gives us a framework called SCQA, which stands for 4 steps: situation, conflict, question, and answer. Step 1 is situation, which refers to content related to the article's topic that doesn't need deep discussion and readers won't dispute. You use well known facts to gain their trust and anchor readers in a specific context, setting up for storytelling. Remember the opening of this episode? I said, in today's era, everyone has more opportunities for public speaking and writing. That's a situation statement. It's a fact and ties into the theme of thinking and expression. Step 2, conflict is essentially the turning point that drives the story forward. That's when a change happens. Readers spot a danger or an opportunity. For example, in today's opening, I mentioned that some express unclearly, superficially, uninterestingly, a danger that could block your career advancement. But this obstacle is also an opportunity in disguise. If you learn to express clearly, making others understand, remember, and care, you can soar in your career. Step 3, question where a problem naturally arises from the previous crisis. For instance, in the opening, I asked, how can you improve your thinking and expression skills? That's the question. The final step, answer, is where you answer the question above. At the same time, it introduces your central idea. You need to learn the pyramid principle. Using this SQA preface structure makes readers more interested in your topic and eager to continue. Answers delivered flatly and directly aren't valuable. You need to create a craving for the answer through storytelling, not shove dry facts at them. You might have noticed that among situation, conflict, question, answer, step 2, conflict, is the most crucial. So, how do we write conflict effectively? The author provides many methods. We'll focus on 3. First, getting straight to the point and defining the problem. Drawing boundaries within a grand issue to focus only on what's inside. For example, introducing the pyramid principle. There are many writing forms, poetry, fiction, prose, but this principle focuses solely on non-fiction writing, especially workplace documents. It doesn't discuss writing style, more sourcing materials. It exclusively addresses making your structure clearer and logic more organized. This transforms the broad issue of writing into the concrete problem of workplace writing, setting aside content to focus on structure. The second method, highlighting worries to spark challenge, meaning this matter is crucial, but you can't handle it. Like our episode opening, why do others captivate audiences while your speeches put them to sleep? This highlights worries and sparks challenge, emphasizing the importance of grabbing attention. The third method, supplementing partial knowledge. Often audiences only grasp part of an issue or hold misconceptions. You can start by addressing that. For example, we imagine writers as effortless geniuses who compose brilliantly without thinking. In reality, the pyramid principle shows clear expression builds on clear thinking. Better to think thoroughly before writing than painfully revise while drafting. To summarize, this section covered the preface structure. It teaches how to start strong before expressing ideas, sparking audience interest. The beginning is hardest, but mastering SQAA and conflict writing techniques ensures stunning openings that leave deep impressions. Finally, let's discuss expression techniques for the pyramid structure. Specifically, how to build it and present it in speech or writing. There are 2 building sequences, top down. First, determine your central idea, assess audience familiarity, then anticipate their questions. Then address reader questions with your main arguments, derive subpoints from those, and back each with facts and data. The opposite approach builds bottom up. Often you might lack a clear topic or know what questions your audience will ask. In that case, jot down scattered ideas first, then find logical connections between them. Categorize, sequence, and summarize to extract main arguments, finally determining your core theme, There are even more techniques for presenting pyramid structures. Broadly, presentation falls into two categories. For text-based media, use visual markers. For example, highlight your central idea, bold key sentences for main arguments, and underline supporting points before submitting reports. In project summaries, use multi-level headings, numbered lists, indents, bullet points. You get the idea. We won't dive deeper here. For visual media like slides, you'll need oral delivery alongside written content to present the pyramid. Use mind mapping tools. Demonstrate while explaining, unfolding arguments level by level. When speaking, emphasize your central idea with vocal weight. Make it stand out. For key points, verbally cue listeners. This is the first crucial takeaway. This is the second, and so on. With that, we've covered the book's core content. Let's briefly recap. First, embedding pyramid structures makes expression clearer and more powerful, aligned with how human minds work. Second, master vertical or horizontal structures using four principles. Conclusion. First, governing from above, grouping and logical progression. Then we introduced SQA for captivating openings. Finally, top-down or bottom-up building methods, plus presentation techniques for text and visuals. Anyone can write, but crafting clear, accessible writing, that's the real challenge. It's essential to have a practical methodology at hand. The methods taught in the pyramid principle can significantly enhance your writing skills. We highly recommend trying them. That concludes our discussion of the pyramid principle. Reading notes are available below the audio. We'll see you tomorrow.